Listening is an act of love. Thank you. You can help lift up the voices, stories, and challenges we share by making a contribution at thiswayout.org.
A sincere thank you to all of you who already support This Way Out. Your support matters.
I'm Michael LeBeau.
And I'm Melanie Keller.
With NewsWrap, a summary of some of the news in or affecting LGBTQ communities around the world for the week ending January 22nd, 2022. Chilean President-elect Gabriel Boric has named 2 openly queer people to his strikingly progressive cabinet, another reminder that elections have consequences. Lesbian Alexandra Bernardo will serve as sports minister in Chile's majority women cabinet. Gay Marco Antonio Avila will be education minister. Movimiento de Integración y Liberación Homosexual, MOVIL, is the country's major LGBTQ advocacy group. Spokesperson Javiera Zuniga celebrated the diversity in a statement that read in part, "Sexual orientation and gender identity are irrelevant for the positions. Capability is the only thing that matters." 14 of Boric's new 24-member cabinet ministers are women. Like Boric, several are former student protest leaders. The president-elect said in announcing his choices on January 21st, "We have formed this team with people who are prepared, with knowledge, with experience, and committed to the agenda of changes that the country needs." The young president-elect will turn 36 before he and his cabinet begin work in the South American nation on March 11th. That's the day after lesbian and gay couples can begin tying the knot under recently enacted marriage equality legislation.
Marriage equality was unanimously rejected by the Constitutional Chamber of the Supreme Court of Justice of Honduras on January 17th. The ruling came in 2 related cases. The plaintiffs say they will now take their cases to the Inter-American Court of Human Rights, the judicial arm of the Organization of American States. Honduras is bound by that court's 2017 ruling for non-marriage equality countries in the region to open the civil institution to gay and lesbian couples. Of the 20 member nations of the Organization of American States, 12 still deny them that right. However, those governments can flaunt the Inter-American Court's decision because it carries no enforcement powers. Meanwhile, Mexico is essentially piecemeal marriage equality. Its Supreme Court ordered a state-by-state process that still leaves 6 of its 31 states standing at the altar.
It's official. Taiwanese gay husbands Wang Chen-wei and Chen Chun-ju are the island's first queer family to adopt a child together. The formal adoption papers were signed on January 13th. Under current laws, married queer couples can only adopt their respective biological children. Wang postponed his wedding to Chen in order to adopt the child as a single parent without complications. Late last year, a family court in the city of Kaohsiung gave Chen the green light to adopt Wang's adopted child. Signing the papers this week completed the process. Activists' enthusiasm for the action was tempered by the fact that it sets no precedent. Although Taiwan is the first jurisdiction in Asia to open civil marriage to same-gender couples, it declined to include equality in adoptions. A bill to remedy that omission has languished in the legislative yuan for more than a year. After their historic adoption became official, Wang told reporters that he and Chen are not a charity case. We shouldn't have had to fight for it.
Another thing Taiwan's marriage equality legislation did not include was recognition of binational couples. Japan's international news service, NHK, reports that 42-year-old Ariyoshi Ishiburo and his 34-year-old Taiwanese partner, Lei Oyi-jen, have filed a lawsuit in the city of Taipei. The couple is demanding that civil authorities accept their marriage registration. Their lawyer says it's the first time a Japanese citizen has been involved in such a legal action abroad.
At least 7 U.S. states rang in the new year banging a new batch of bills to limit the rights of transgender and non-binary young people. NBC News counted at least 9 measures in Alabama, Arizona, Indiana, Kentucky, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, and South Dakota. They aim to prevent trans and NB youth from participating in school sports, from using campus bathrooms that correspond to their gender identity, and from receiving gender-affirming health care. More than 280 anti-queer bills were introduced in 33 state legislatures in 2021, according to the National LGBTQ Human Rights Campaign. At least 130 of them specifically targeted transgender people. Bills to ban trans student athletes from competing under their gender identity passed in Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi, Montana, Tennessee, Texas, and West Virginia. The sponsors of these measures are almost exclusively Republican. They claim they want to protect a level playing field for cisgender girls and women in school sports, and to prevent young trans people from making medical decisions they might later regret. They also cite potential disruption in gender-segregated public facilities. Speaking to NBC News, longtime trans advocate and media manager for the National Women's Law Center, Gillian Brandstetter, called it a hostile and dangerous trend that I'm sure we'll see continue through the year.
The vice presidential pet made famous by 2 children's books has died. Marlon Bundo was owned by the daughter of former U.S. Vice President Mike Pence, Charlotte Pence Bond. She made Marlon famous as Botus, Bunny of the United States, in her children's picture book about the black and white rabbit, illustrated by Karen Mother Pence. Hot on Marlon's heels hopped a parody published by late-night comedy host John Oliver that outsold the original. A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo lampooned Pence's well-known opposition to marriage equality. Marlon falls for another boy rabbit, only to be blocked from marrying him by the stink bug, an official with a less-than-subtle resemblance to Vice President Pence. The parody publication was dedicated to every bunny who has ever felt different, and all proceeds were donated to the teen queer youth suicide prevention group, the Trevor Project, and to AIDS United. Now a reporter for the Daily Wire, Charlotte Pence Bond said at the time that she bought Oliver's book to support those charities, as well as the charities her book supported. She tweeted the news of the rabbit's passing on January 15th, writing, "Marlon, God brought you to us right when we needed you most." Many queer kids can say the same.
Finally, the U.S. Department of Education is investigating the largest Mormon university in the world for bias against LGBTQ people. Complaints that Salt Lake City, Utah-based Brigham Young University is violating the civil rights of queer students sparked the probe into whether enforcement of its honor code of conduct unfairly targets them. Conduct totally acceptable among hetero students can even lead to an LGBTQ person being expelled. The federal investigation began late last year, according to the Salt Lake Tribune. The revelation comes on the heels of reports that BYU had banned all protest actions around the iconic Y on the mountain overlooking the school. Last March, activists lit it in rainbow colors, and BYU could not have that happen again.
It's just kind of like one step forward, 2 steps back.
BYU junior Christian Hunt told local TV station KSTU that he's cautiously optimistic that pressure from the feds will lead to significant changes.
I've grown up in Utah, and I understand kind of the invincibility that the Mormon church can have, and so I kind of was like, wow, this is so cool, but somehow BYU escapes it every time.
Senior Everett Patterson told the TV station,
"Queer students are held to a different standard than straight students because a straight student wouldn't be expelled for going on a date or holding hands or kissing."
That's NewsWrap, global queer news with attitude, for the week ending January 22nd, 2022. Follow the news in your area and around the world. An informed community is a strong community.
NewsWrap is written by Greg Gordon, edited by Lucia Chappelle, produced by Brian DeShazer, and brought to you by you.
Help keep us in ears around the world at thiswayout.org, where you can also read the text of this newscast, and much more.
And you can read the transcript and listen to NewsWrap each week by subscribing to our This Way Out radio channel on YouTube. For This Way Out, I'm Michael LeBeau. Stay healthy.
And I'm Melanie Keller. Stay safe.
This Way Out delivers LGBTQ news and culture to more than 150 local communities on radio stations around the world. And we are also a free online news service.
You can choose your favorite way to listen, online or on the air, at thiswayout.org.
Please sign up for our free e-newsletter, Inside This Way Out.
We'll respect your trust in us and make sure your personal information is never shared with others.
Just send us an email at info@thiswayout.org at thiswayout.org to receive the informative and unique addition to the show.
You'll be invited to join us for a more in-depth look into our stories and be encouraged to learn more about This Way Out's 3 decades of broadcast activism.
We hope you choose to join us in celebration of LGBTQ history and culture.
Email us at info@thiswayout.org to join the movement.
We'll make sure you always know what's going on inside This Way Out.